Hey guys, it's Danny, and today I am sharing a recipe for a gluten-free chocolate zucchini muffin. Now, last year I shared a recipe for a chocolate zucchini snack cake, and that was very popular, but I did get a lot of requests for a gluten-free option. So I got in my kitchen and I got busy and I came up with this recipe for you guys. The first thing we need to do is get our zucchini prepped and ready to go. You're gonna need 1 cup of shredded zucchini after you squeeze the water out of it. So you're gonna need your box grater, and I do recommend, if you're in the market for a box grater, that you look for one that has different size hole options on it, because you get more bang for your buck this way. I like this one because it's got the big and the little and the grater and the slicer. You got all the options. So if you're in the market for a box grater, I will leave a link down in the description box below. Now for this recipe, I do like to use the small holes because this way you don't get huge chunks of zucchini throughout your muffin. It's a little more subtle. So I start by just trimming off both sides of my zucchini, and then I'm just gonna shred it back and forth on the grater until I've got a nice heaping pile of zucchini. And I find it takes about 1.5 medium zucchinis to get what we're looking for here. And then once I get close to the end, I usually just save this as a snack so we don't cut any fingers or knuckles. So 1 zucchini gets us that. So in order to drain the water out, what I do is I take a clean dish towel, put the zucchini right in the center, and then you just pull up all the sides and you're gonna twist and squeeze and wait until you see how much liquid comes out of your zucchini. Ready? Ooh. And you certainly can drink that if you want to, guys. A little zucchini juice for you. You really just want to squeeze as much as you can. The more liquid you get out, the better. Okay, and then you're gonna see that what looked like about a cup is probably gonna be more like a 1/2 cup now. You can see how it's really condensed down, packed it down. So I'm gonna put this in my cup, and let's just see. Yeah, we're gonna need a little bit more. So I'm gonna do the second zucchini so we get a nice full cup. Okay, let's see what we've got here. 2 medium zucchinis is gonna get us 1 nice heaping packed cup of shredded zucchini. Perfecto. So my zucchini is all set and ready to go. Now all I need to do is prep my muffin pan. I have a 12-cup muffin pan, and I'm just gonna spray it down with a little bit of coconut oil so nothing sticks. If you wanted, you could also do a muffin liner here. Okay, last thing I need to do is preheat my oven to 350 degrees. And when we get back, I'm gonna show you how to assemble these muffins. So the first thing we need for the base of these muffins is almond butter, which I know is a very suspect ingredient, but it is amazing how almond butter can create the base of a recipe just like this without really needing to use any flour. Although I am gonna be using a couple tablespoons of coconut flour in this recipe, but we'll chat about that in a minute. So I've got 1 cup of all natural almond butter. Guys, when you're buying your almond butter, you wanna make sure that the only ingredient listed is almonds, maybe a little salt if you like your almond butter salted, but that's it. There's really no need for additional sugars or oils. Now, personally, I like to buy the crunchy almond butter because it almost feels like you have nuts throughout your muffin, but if you prefer creamy, do that. Then we've got 2 eggs. Now I'm using 2 whole eggs. You could certainly do 4 egg whites if you prefer, and then you would increase the protein a little bit and lower the fat. And I always love buying these pastured eggs because, guys, you will notice that the yolk of the pastured egg is so vibrant and rich, and that's because those chickens get to eat their natural diet. Then I have a 1/4 cup of milk. I am using an unsweetened almond milk. You could literally use any milk you fancy. They would all work. And just a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Then give this a mix just to break up the yolks and get the wet ingredients incorporated. This is what I love so much about these almond butter recipes, guys, is that they're really like dump and stir. Very easy to do. And you don't have to be ultra precise. That, my friends, is my kind of recipe. You know, I'm just gonna swap out this spatula for my wooden spoon. It's just a little stronger. Makes it easier to mix. Okay, Once you've got the eggs and the almond butter and the milk and the vanilla all well incorporated, we're gonna toss in our dry ingredients. So next I have just a 1/4 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. This is gonna create a nice, rich, chocolatey base. And then a 1/4 cup of coconut sugar. Now, coconut sugar is a lot like brown sugar. It's a little bit moist and it has a really deep, almost molasses-like flavor to it. So I love adding it to recipes that have chocolate. Then we have a 1/2 teaspoon each of kosher salt and baking soda, and just 2 tablespoons of coconut flour. Now, if you're not familiar with coconut flour, guys, it is a grain-free, 100% gluten-free flour, and it's very absorbent. So I like to use it in recipes like this because it helps to absorb some of the liquids and bind the muffins. Now, if for some reason you can't do coconut flour, you could probably sub just a tablespoon or 2 of an oat flour or an almond flour. I think either would get the job done. Or if you were really in a pinch, I have a hunch you could probably skip the flour altogether and these muffins would hold up just fine. So you can see the texture that I've got going here. It's thick, but still pourable. It's kind of like a cake batter, right? So the last ingredient being added into the bowl is my shredded zucchini. And I'm just gonna break that up and mix it in and make sure that it's mixed throughout the batter. And you won't even see it once it's all coated in the chocolatey goodness. Now, what I love so much about this muffin recipe is that usually when you're eating some type of baked good, it is jam-packed with carbohydrates and sugar. But these muffins are a nice balance of healthy fats and protein and even some veggies. So in my book, these muffins are a win-win to the win. Once you've got your zucchini all mixed in there and your batter looks kind of like a cake batter, you're ready to get these into your muffin pan. Now, what I like to do is use like a 1/4 cup scooper and put about a 1/4 cup of batter in each muffin. You're better off going a little bit lower and then going back and adding more than you are making the first few way too big and then running out of batter by the time you get to the end. Now, I remember back in my dieting days when all I would focus on were the foods that I needed to take out of my diets and eating low calorie foods. And then when I made the switch to focusing on quality ingredients, it really was a mental shift for me because I started to focus on all of the ingredients that I could incorporate into my diet. And that opened up my mind completely, and it made getting in the kitchen so much more fun because I was always looking for ingredients that were good for me that I could work into my diet in a really natural, healthy way. And this is a perfect example because you have a seasonal ingredient like zucchini that's being baked into these super delicious, nutritious muffins. And then once all your muffin cups are full and pretty equal, just go scrape up the last bits and see if anybody looks a little smaller than the others, and you give them a little extra love. Full. Then the last thing that I like to do is just top each muffin with a couple of chocolate chips. A, I like the way it looks on top, and B, it gives you a little extra bite of delicious goodness when you eat these muffins. So I just have a dark chocolate chip. You could also do a semi-sweet or milk chocolate. Pick what you love, and I put about 4 or 5 chips on top of each muffin. Another reason I really like to put these chips on top, and all you moms out there will understand, because in my kids' mind, everything should have chocolate in it and all over it. And so when I put just a couple chocolate chips on top, they think that there's chocolate chips all throughout the muffin, and they're more excited to eat it. So it's, again, another win to the win to the win. Once I've got my chips sprinkled all over the top, these muffins are ready to go into the oven. So I'm popping them into my 350-degree oven for 20 minutes, and when we get back, I will show you the final product. They look fantabulous. We just gotta let them cool down a bit, then we'll pop them out and give them a try. Now, the hardest part about making this recipe is that you need to let them cool completely before you try to take them out of the muffin tin. Once they're cooled and you're ready to eat them, you just want to loosen them around the edges and they will pop right out. Now, as far as storage goes, I like to leave them in an airtight container right in the fridge, and they will last you up to a week. And if you really wanted to go the long haul, you could certainly store them in the freezer. Let's bust it open. Let's give out a little test. That is so delicious. They are moist and chocolatey. You do not detect the zucchini at all. And I love just the little bits of the gooey chocolate chips on top of the muffin. You guys have got to give these a try. They would make an amazing breakfast, a delicious treat with your afternoon coffee, and they would also be perfect for lunch boxes. If you haven't already, do me a favor, please subscribe to the channel, give this video a big thumbs up, and share it with anyone else you know who wants to make healthy eating easy and enjoyable. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Danny Spees. I will see you back here next time with some more clean and deliciousness. Cheers. Back to the muffins. I don't think the camera can do this muffin justice.